FOIL is used when you're multiplying two binomials. And a binomial has two terms. So when you have a binomial times a binomial, that's when you're going to use FOIL. Now, it's good to know about FOIL, so it'll help us when we start to factor. But basically, FOIL is just taking everything in one set of parentheses and multiplying it times everything in the other set, and then combining any like terms. What FOIL stands for is first, outside, inside, and last. Now, some say first, outer, inner, last. It's the same thing. So I'm going to take this term right here, this negative 6h, and I'm going to multiply it times the first term in the other. So that would be, I'm going to put a lot of steps in here, but you don't have to have this many steps. So negative 6h times 4h. Those are my first terms. Then I'm going to take the negative 6h and I'm going to multiply it times the negative 7. So negative 6h times negative 7. If you look at the problem, those are the numbers on the outside. If you look at the entire problem, negative 6h is on the left outside, negative 7 is on the right outside. So I've multiplied the negative 6h times everything in the other set of parentheses. You don't multiply it times the same thing in there, the 2. That's in the same set of parentheses, just in the other set. So now I have to take care of this 2, and I'm going to multiply it times everything in the other set. Let's change that color. So 2 times 4h, so that's a positive 2 times a 4h. And if you look at those, if you look at the entire problem, those are in the inside. The 2 and the 4h are in the inside that you're multiplying. And then I'm going to multiply the 2 times the negative 7. So 2 times negative 7. And if you look at that, those are the last terms. So that's where the FOIL comes from. If you get confused with FOIL, just take the first term, multiply it times everything in the other set of parentheses, then take the next term, multiply it times everything else in the other set of parentheses, and then we're going to collect like terms. But first, we need to multiply here. And again, these are extra steps. You can do this all in one step. Negative 6 times 4, that's negative 24. We're multiplying, so h times h is h squared. Remember, when you don't see a variable, when you don't see an exponent on a variable, a letter, it's understood to be a 1. So this is understood to be a 1 and a 1. And when you multiply, you add your exponents. Negative 6h times negative 7. Well, negative 6 times negative 7 is a positive 42. And then h, you don't have an h here, so we just rewrite an h. Next, we have 2 times 4h, so that's plus 8h. And the last, 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. Now we need to collect like terms. So we multiply, and then we collect like terms. And generally, it's going to be these two in the middle that are going to be like. If both binomials are set up the same way with the same variables, it'll be the 2 in the middle. So I'm going to rewrite negative 24h squared. These two are like terms because they both just have an h. So I'm going to add, signs are alike, add 42 plus 8 is going to give me a plus 50h. Make sure to include the sign, and then bring down the minus 14. So this answer is negative 24h squared plus 50h minus 14. Now we are multiplying a binomial times a trinomial. Remember, a binomial is 2 terms. Think of a bicycle has 2 wheels, and a trinomial is 3 terms. A tricycle has 3 wheels. We're doing it the similar way to FOIL, except it's not really FOIL, but we're still taking this 5b. We're going to multiply it times everything in the other set of parentheses. And then we're going to take the negative 5 right here and multiply it times everything in the other set of parentheses. So let's start with the 5b. And I'm going to kind of do it over to the side and make columns, because when we do this, we're going to have several, we're going to have some columns here. All right. 5b times negative 3b squared. So 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. Whoops, I don't want that. Negative 15. And be careful, b times b squared is b cubed. Okay, b times b squared is b cubed. Now 5b times the 4b, that's plus 20b squared, because b times b is b squared. And then finally, 5b times positive 2, that would be plus 10b. 5 times 2 is 10 times the b. Now, I'm going to do it in another color here so you can see which row goes with it. I'm going to line them up underneath. I'm going to start with the negative 5 now. Negative 5 times negative 3b squared. Well, negative 5 times negative 5 is a positive, and that's positive, negative 5 times negative 3, sorry, is a positive 15b squared. I don't want to put it under the first column. I want to put it under the b squared column, because I multiplied just a plain 5. Negative 5 times negative 3 gives me a positive 15, and then b squared. Next, negative 5 times positive 4b. Well, that's going to be a negative 20b, right? And then finally, negative 5 times positive 2 is going to be a constant term of negative 10. So I'm going to combine my columns. Negative 15b cubed, nothing to combine with that. So I'm just going to write negative 15b cubed. Second column, I have 20b squared and 15b squared. Double check that they're the same variable and exponent, and then just combine your coefficients. 20 plus 15 will give us a positive 35. Don't forget to put the sign between the terms, and then rewrite the b squared. 10b minus 20b. Signs are different. Subtract, take the sign of the larger, so that's a negative, and 20 minus 10 will be negative 10b. And then just bring down the minus 10. So this is our answer. Here's another binomial times a trinomial. We're going to take the negative 4x, multiply it throughout the other set of parentheses, and then the 6 throughout the other set of parentheses, and then collect like terms. You might want to pause and try that, and then we'll check our answers together. So, negative 4x times negative 2x squared. That's positive 8x cubed. Be careful, x times x squared is x cubed. Then negative 4x times negative x. Well, that's a positive. And x times x is x squared, so that is positive 4x squared. And then finally, the negative 4x times the 9. So that would be negative 36x. Now we're going to do the positive 6, multiply it throughout. So this 6 right here times negative 2x squared. That's going to give us negative 12x squared, and I want to make sure that I put it under the x squared column. Then 6 times negative x, that's a negative 6x. That goes under the x column. And then finally, 6 times 9, that's a positive 54. Make sure you're including the signs. Now we're going to combine the columns. We have 8x cubed, nothing combined with it. 4x squared minus 12x squared, signs are different. Subtract, take the sign of the larger, so that would be negative 8x squared. Notice that when you add and subtract, the variable and exponent do not change. Negative 36x minus 6x, signs are alike, so we add, keep the common sign, so that would be a negative 42x. And then we just bring down our plus 54.